Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we unlock knowledge across the spectrum every day. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thinkiverse podcast.
For more deep dives like this one, I'm Ryan Lanis.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be exploring something super interesting, the ketogenic diet.
Yes.
And to help us break it all down, we've got the amazing Rona Escleto, our expert on all things health and science.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be diving into this topic.
All right, so Rona, keto.
Yeah.
It's been a real buzzword for a while now.
Right.
But what is it exactly? I mean, it has something to do with eating lots of fat.
Yeah.
But how does that actually work? And is it really all it's cracked up to be?
You're right. There's a lot of hype around keto, so let's break it down.
Okay.
Imagine your body is like a car,
Okay.
and it needs fuel to run.
Yeah.
Usually that fuel comes from carbohydrates, things like bread, pasta, sugary snacks.
Right.
But on a ketogenic diet, we're switching the fuel source
Okay.
from carbs to fat. So instead of filling up your tank with carbs, you're filling it up with fats like avocados, nuts, and olive oil.
Okay, so we're changing the type of fuel the car runs on?
Yeah.
But how does that actually work inside the body?
Well, when you drastically reduce your carb intake and increase your fat intake,
Okay.
your body enters a state called ketosis.
Ketosis.
It's like flipping a switch in your metabolism.
Hmm.
Instead of burning glucose from carbs for energy,
Right.
your body starts burning fat.
Okay.
And that's where the magic happens.
This is where I get lost.
Mm.
Burning fat for energy. But doesn't our brain need glucose to function?
That's a great question.
Okay.
It's true that our brains typically rely on glucose,
Right.
but here's the amazing part.
Okay.
During ketosis, your liver starts producing ketones
Uh-huh.
from the fat you're eating.
Hmm.
And guess what?
What?
Ketones can act as an alternative fuel source for the brain.
Wow, so our brains can run on fat too. That's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But why would anyone want to do this? What are the supposed benefits of putting your body through this whole fuel switch?
There are quite a few potential benefits that people report and that some research suggests.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones is weight loss.
Okay.
When your body's burning fat for fuel,
Yeah.
it's naturally tapping into your fat stores,
Right.
which can lead to weight loss.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about other health benefits? I know keto has become popular for managing certain health conditions too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One of the most promising areas is in managing type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
We actually have a great example of this in one of the sources we looked at.
Okay.
The ABC Science video featured a woman named Gabrielle who was able to successfully manage her type 2 diabetes
Wow.
by adopting a ketogenic diet.
Really?
And her story is pretty remarkable.
Tell me more. What kind of changes did she see?
Well, before keto, Gabrielle was struggling to control her blood sugar levels. But after switching to a ketogenic diet, her blood sugar stabilized significantly.
Wow.
And not just that, her HbA1c levels, which is a measure of long-term blood sugar control,
Okay.
also improved drastically.
So by switching her body's fuel source from carbs to fat, she was able to gain better control over her diabetes. That's incredible. But is keto only good for people with health conditions?
That's great.
Or can it benefit healthy individuals as well?
That's a great question,
Yeah.
and one that researchers are still exploring. But
Right.
there's growing evidence that keto may offer benefits for healthy individuals as well.
Really?
One area that's particularly interesting is athletic performance.
Wait, really? You mean athletes are using keto to improve their game? I thought they needed lots of carbs for energy.
That's what we used to think.
Right.
But recent research has challenged that idea.
Mm.
In fact, Professor Tim Noakes, a renowned sports scientist featured in the ABC Science video,
But,
used to be a big advocate for carb loading for athletes.
right.
But his own research led him to change his stance.
Interesting.
And now he believes that athletes can perform just as well, if not better, on a ketogenic diet.
Hold on. So ditching the pasta parties before marathons, that's a pretty radical shift.
Yeah.
What led him to change his mind?
Well, Professor Noakes found that when athletes are in ketosis,
Right.
they can tap into a much larger fuel tank than when they're relying on carbohydrates.
Okay.
Think about it. Our bodies can only store a limited amount of carbohydrates,
Right.
but our fat stores,
Yeah.
those are like a massive reserve of potential energy,
Oh, wow.
far exceeding the energy we can get from stored carbohydrates.
So by training their bodies to burn fat, athletes can essentially unlock this hidden energy reserve.
That's fascinating. But I have to admit, I'm still a bit skeptical. I mean, I've always heard that fat is bad for you, especially for your heart.
Right.
And keto seems to be all about eating fat.
That's a very common concern, and it's important to address.
Oh, okay.
It's true that we've been told for years to avoid fat, especially saturated fat.
But as with many things in nutrition, the science is constantly evolving.
Mm.
Recent studies have started to question the traditional view that saturated fat is the enemy of our arteries.
So it's not as simple as fat equals clogged arteries.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Both Dr. Berg, who is a big advocate for keto,
Yeah.
and the ABC Science video emphasize that it's crucial to focus on the quality of the fat you're eating.
Hmm.
In other words, not all fats are created equal.
Okay, so what kind of fats should we be eating on a keto diet?
Think of it this way. You want to choose fats that come from whole, unprocessed foods.
Okay.
Things like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish. These are all excellent sources of healthy fats that provide a range of nutrients and can be enjoyed on a keto diet.
So it's not about loading up on bacon and butter, but rather choosing healthy fats from natural sources.
Exactly.
That makes a lot more sense.
And just as importantly, it's about avoiding unhealthy fats like trans fats and refined oils,
Right.
regardless of whether you're following a keto diet or not. Those are the real culprits when it comes to heart health.
Now, before we go any further, I want to take a moment to remind everyone about our awesome YouTube channel.
Thinkiverse Podcast.
If you're finding this deep dive into keto interesting, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more episodes covering all sorts of fascinating topics, unlocking knowledge across the spectrum every day.
Now back to keto.
Okay.
While there are potential benefits, we also need to address some of the challenges and potential drawbacks,
Right.
which we'll delve into in the next part of our deep dive.
That's right. It's important to look at the whole picture. So make sure you come back for part 2, where we'll explore more the science behind keto, address some common concerns, and delve into the potential benefits and drawbacks of this increasingly popular dietary approach.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. See you there.
See you now. Welcome back to our deep dive into the ketogenic diet. Before we jump into the potential downsides, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the idea that our bodies don't actually need carbohydrates to survive.
I know. It's a pretty wild concept to wrap your head around, right?
Yeah.
We've been told for so long that carbs are essential, the base of the food pyramid and all that.
Exactly. But the science is showing us that our bodies are incredibly adaptable. We actually saw this mentioned in both of the sources we've been looking at.
Right. Dr. Berg talked about it in his video, and Professor Noakes in the ABC Science piece actually went so far as to say that we don't need a single gram of carbohydrates for survival.
It seems almost counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But our bodies have this incredible backup system. Our liver can actually produce all the glucose we need from other sources.
Really?
It's a master of metabolic magic, converting fats and proteins into glucose when needed.
So even without eating carbs, our bodies can make their own fuel. That's amazing.
It is.
But if that's the case, why do we crave carbs so much? Why have they become such a staple in our diets?
That's a great question, and there are a few factors at play. One is simply habit and cultural conditioning. We've grown up eating carbs as a primary source of energy, so our bodies have become accustomed to that.
And let's be honest, carbs can be delicious. It's tough to resist that warm, crusty bread or a big bowl of pasta.
Absolutely. There's a reason comfort food is often carb-heavy,
Yeah.
but another reason we crave carbs is that they trigger the release of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter in our brains.
So it's like a reward system. We eat carbs, we feel good, so we want more carbs.
Exactly. And that can make it especially challenging to cut back on carbs, even if we know it might be beneficial for our health.
Right.
This is one reason people often struggle in the beginning stages of a keto diet.
Like that keto flu thing.
He did. It's a set of symptoms some people experience when they first transition to keto, including fatigue, headaches, and feeling generally unwell. But he also stressed that it's usually temporary.
And I think he offered some tips for managing it too, right?
Yeah.
Like making sure to get enough electrolytes, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium.
That's key. Those minerals can get depleted on a keto diet, especially in the beginning,
Right.
due to changes in fluid balance. Dr. Berg explained that low potassium in particular.
It contribute to muscle weakness and fatigue.
And what about fiber? I know he talked about the importance of getting enough fiber on a keto diet since you're cutting out a lot of high-fiber foods like fruits and grains.
Right. And both Dr. Berg and the ABC Science video highlighted the need to focus on nutrient-dense, low-carb vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, and cauliflower.
So it's not just about loading up on fat, but about making sure you're getting a balance of nutrients from a variety of sources.
Precisely.
Okay.
And this leads us to another common concern about the keto diet, the potential for nutrient deficiencies.
This is something I've wondered about, too. If you're restricting entire food groups, aren't you at risk of missing out on important vitamins and minerals?
It's a valid concern, and it's why it's crucial to be mindful of your food choices on any restrictive diet, especially keto.
Right.
But the experts in both of our sources stress that it's entirely possible to get all the nutrients you need on a ketogenic diet if you're choosing the right foods.
Dr. Berg was really big on emphasizing the importance of nutrient-dense whole foods. Yes, and he even recommended certain supplements like electrolytes to help prevent deficiencies and manage those keto flu symptoms.
Okay.
He also talked about the importance of working with a healthcare professional to make sure your individual nutritional needs are being met.
I think that's a really important point. It's always a good idea to consult with your doctor or a registered dietitian before making any major dietary changes, especially if you have any underlying health conditions.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the social aspects of keto, because let's face it, food plays a big role in our social lives.
Right. It's hard to imagine going to a party or out to dinner with friends and not being able to enjoy the same foods.
Both sources touched on this. Dr. Berg acknowledged that social situations can be tricky on a keto diet.
Hmm.
He suggested planning ahead, bringing your own keto-friendly snacks if needed, and communicating openly with your friends and family about your dietary choices.
He also talked about the importance of finding joy in the foods you can eat on keto rather than focusing on what you're missing out on.
Exactly. And he emphasized the fact that as your body adapts to burning fat for fuel, those intense carb cravings tend to diminish.
So it gets easier over time.
For many people, it does. And the ABC Science video also highlighted the importance of finding what works for you individually.
Okay.
They said there's no one-size-fits-all approach to keto, and it's about finding a way to make it sustainable for your lifestyle.
That makes sense. It's about finding a balance that allows you to reap the potential benefits without feeling overly restricted or isolated socially.
Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to touch on one more aspect of keto that often gets debated: its long-term sustainability. Can people really stick with this way of eating for the long haul?
It's a great question.
hmm
I mean, it seems like it would be tough to give up so many foods you love indefinitely.
It definitely requires a commitment and a shift in mindset, that's for sure. Dr. Berg believes that keto can be a sustainable lifestyle change, but he acknowledges that it takes effort and a willingness to adapt. He stresses the importance of finding ways to make keto enjoyable and incorporating it into your life in a way that feels good for you.
It's like anything else, right? If it feels like a constant struggle, it's probably not going to last.
Exactly. And the ABC Science video took a slightly more cautious approach. They acknowledged that keto can be effective for weight loss and managing certain health conditions in the short term, but they questioned whether it's realistic for most people to maintain such a restrictive diet over the long term.
They also raise concerns about potential nutrient deficiencies and the social challenges of adhering to a diet that limits so many food groups.
Valid points for sure. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to adopt a ketogenic diet is a personal one. It's important to weigh the potential benefits and risks, consider your individual health goals and lifestyle, and consult with a healthcare professional to determine if keto is the right fit for you.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground on keto so far. The science, the potential benefits, the challenges. But I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this whole keto controversy.
You're right, there's a lot of debate surrounding this diet, especially when it comes to long-term health effects. One of the biggest concerns people have is the impact of a high-fat diet on heart health.
Yeah, it's hard to shake off decades of being told that fat is bad for your heart. So how do we reconcile that with a diet that essentially encourages eating more fat?
It's a valid question, and as we discussed earlier, the science on saturated fat is evolving. The traditional view that saturated fat directly causes heart disease is being challenged by newer research.
The ABC Science video actually brought up a really interesting point about this. They mentioned that several major health organizations are starting to reevaluate their stance on saturated fat.
That's right. There's growing recognition that the type of fat we eat matters more than the total amount.
So it's not just about cutting back on fat across the board,
Right.
but about choosing the right kinds of fat.
Exactly. And both Dr. Berg and the ABC Science video stress the importance of focusing on healthy fats from whole food sources like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish, those kinds of things.
And avoiding the unhealthy fats like trans fats and processed oils, which we know are bad for everyone, regardless of their diet.
Precisely. It's about quality over quantity when it comes to fat.
Now, another concern I've heard about keto is its potential impact on cholesterol levels. I know some people see an increase in their LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol, when they first start keto.
That's true. Some people do experience a temporary rise in LDL cholesterol when transitioning to a ketogenic diet. Dr. Berg actually addressed this in his video, explaining that it's often a short-term effect as the body adapts to burning fat for fuel.
So it's not necessarily a cause for concern.
Not always. Dr. Berg suggested that LDL levels tend to stabilize or even decrease once the body becomes keto adapted. And the ABC Science video highlighted research suggesting that the type of LDL particles might be more important than the overall LDL number.
They were talking about the size of the particles, right?
Yes. Smaller, denser LDL particles are considered to be more harmful than larger, fluffier ones. And some studies have shown that the ketogenic diet can shift the balance towards those larger, less harmful LDL particles.
So even if someone sees an initial increase in their LDL cholesterol, it might not be as bad as it seems if the particle size is favorable.
That's the current thinking, but it's important to remember that research on this is still ongoing. More studies are needed to fully understand the long-term effects of a ketogenic diet on cholesterol levels.
Makes sense. It seems like there's still a lot we're learning about how keto affects the body in the long run.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to approach any dietary change with a healthy dose of caution and to consult with a healthcare professional to make sure it's appropriate for your individual needs.
Well said. Before we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Thinkiverse Podcast, for more insightful deep dives like this one. We're unlocking knowledge across the spectrum every day.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the ketogenic diet, be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment below letting us know what you learned or if you have any questions.
We'd love to hear from you. So as we wrap up this deep dive into keto, what are your final thoughts? Is this a diet you'd recommend to everyone?
I think it's important to remember that keto, like any diet, isn't a magic bullet. It can be a powerful tool for some people, especially those with certain health conditions, but it's not for everyone. And it's definitely not something to jump into without doing your research and talking to your doctor.
I think that's a great takeaway. It's all about individualization, finding what works best for your body and your lifestyle.
Exactly. And it's about being critical of the information out there, looking at the science and making informed choices.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the ketogenic diet. We've covered a lot of ground, but hopefully you've gained a better understanding of what keto is all about, the potential benefits, the risks, and the things to consider before making any decisions about your own diet.
And remember, knowledge is power. So keep learning, keep exploring, and always prioritize your health and well-being.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.